Master Clay.
Boom, shakalaka boom. You've tuned in to the free range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It starts right now. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I am Clay Edwards, coming at you live here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios on the plush campus, the sprawling campus, worldwide headquarters of WYAB, the freedom of speech. Let me say that again. Freedom of speech outpost here in Florida, Mississippi, right off Highway 49. Good morning to everybody out there in the world, wherever you are watching. If you're watching on Stunning HD, at Save JXN on Facebook, X, or YouTube, at Save JXN. If you're watching on Rumble, at Clay Edwards Show. If you're not, you should be, unless you're listening on the radio. Don't change the channel either. Whew, man, your boy worked out hard yesterday. I went rucking and worked out last night. But in the middle, I went out to core therapy, trying to stay dedicated. I did the red light therapy. I did the cryo bed. It's like a dry cold plunge, if that makes sense. And did that's it. I didn't do the boot therapy yesterday. But either way, feeling good. A little tired, but feeling good. Let's see here. Any news happened yesterday? Oh, yes. We broke some news at the end of the show yesterday. JPD Police Chief, top cop Joseph Wade, the talker in chief, has resigned under a dark cloud of allegations that the media refused to cover. I got a chuckle out of that. I got a notification on my phone yesterday. The WLBT was live, and they basically confirmed everything that I'd reported about Tyree taking over as police chief and Wade stepping down and all this stuff. I mean, we got a good tip right at the end of the show yesterday. And I was listening to CJ LeMasters for a second, and you know, I've been going pretty hard on CJ about his attacks on Rankin County cops and Pearl police and this, that, and the other. And I was just listening to him. He was just waxing poetically about Chief Wade like he could be his potential father-in-law or something. And he just was just kissing butt, man. Oh, man, he's done so good. The crime is down. Crime in Jackson is not down. Murder is down. Crime is down in the CCID. Crime is not down anywhere JPD has anything to do with. I'm sorry, JPD. Sorry, guys. South Jackson's still third world hellhole, last time I checked. Not reporting crime does not mean crime is down. Not answering 911 calls does not mean crime is down. Anyhow, I was listening to CJ just wax poetically about all the great work Chief Wade had done. And comparably speaking, he has done a good job compared to the last clown. But all I could think about was the hell that CJ put Dean Scott through there at the end of his career and into his life. And I was just thinking, it's like, man, you know, if it was a Pearl police chief suddenly resigning out of nowhere so quickly that they couldn't even get the assistant chief up to speed in time to make him the interim chief, they had to get the Rankin County sheriff to fill in. But I got a lot of questions about that. And I'm just going to call it out right here. We got a dab of racism going on in Jackson. Why? Well, let me not put the buggy in front of the horse. The buggy in front of the horse. That's the saying. Yeah, I was listening to CJ, and all I could think about was if a chief was resigning and there was allegations of sexual misconduct, inappropriate. Again, I would say allegations of inappropriate communications between women. Allegedly, 2 women fighting over the chief of police. Allegedly. That would have been the lead. It would have been Pearl police chief resigns under a dark cloud. That's why I made it the caption for the live stream this morning. It was the title of the show. JPD chief resigns under dark cloud of allegations. Because that's what it would have been if a Rankin County police chief a Madison County police chief, especially Rankin County, he's got a particular kids are in the car. You know what I'm going to say, guys. The morning wood. He got a particular morning wood for Rankin County cops. And CJ's is good at his job when he's doing it. And he isn't just laser focused on Rankin County cops. But so I just got a chuckle out of that. And I called one of my friends that's in government over there and talked to him about 30 or 45 minutes about it, and amongst other things. But I mean, you know damn well that if Nick McClendon or Chief French and Brandon, any of those guys had resigned under the same circumstances, that it would have been dark cloud of allegations. Alleged. We haven't confirmed yet, but alleged inappropriate text with a female subordinate. Sorry, I don't know why I'm doing that in strip club voice. CJ LeMasters sounds nothing like that. Nothing like that. But anyway, let's talk about why Tyree was named sheriff chief, crime czar. It's 100%, in my opinion, because Wendell Watts is white. And they're backed in a corner. We can't have a white guy. A white guy's chief of Jackson. That ain't going to work. It'd be mutiny over here. Because JPD is the DEI police department in the state of Mississippi. The DEI police department in the state of Mississippi. They could you imagine? And look, I've talked to some of my buddies over at JPD. They all want Wendell. But I'm just telling you, Wendell ain't in my opinion, again, this is just Clay's opinion. He's a white guy, whether y'all know that or not. He's the assistant chief, came back to JPD from Gluck's. And maybe he don't want it. Let me throw that out there. Maybe he don't want it. And maybe he said no. You're the assistant chief. Why wouldn't you want to be the chief? I don't know, whatever. But maybe he said no. So put that out there. But I think somebody at the press conference, media, what is our local media doing, man? I mean, y'all just show up with your cameras and microphones and hit record and just not ask any questions? I mean, nobody asked, well, why didn't you promote the assistant chief to interim chief or even chief? Well, I mean, he's white. Why didn't anybody ask that? It just didn't make sense to me. I mean, I think Tyree's fine. I mean, I don't agree with Tyree's politics at all. I like Tyree. He's always been cool to me. But I don't know how you can be a Democrat and in law enforcement. I don't know how you reconcile those two things. It's like being a Christian and a Democrat. I don't understand how you can be pro-abortion and a Christian. I just don't know how you reconcile those two things. And Tyree is hardcore Democrat, Trump hating. I mean, just follow his Facebook post. He hates Trump. He hates Trump supporters, from the best I can tell. So I just don't know how you reconcile that when Trump is as pro-law enforcement as it can get. If the president of the United States was so pro anything I was doing, I'd be very, very supportive of that guy. I mean, this guy's got my back. Not Tyree when it comes to Trump. He hates Trump. Like, he believes all the CNN, MSNBC garbage about Trump being a racist and all that, from the best I can tell. So I just don't know how you reconcile being in law enforcement and hating the commander-in-chief, who is as pro-law enforcement as it gets. And you're just buying all those liberal policies. I don't know, man. I got questions. But hey, you know what? That's why I moved my ass to Rankin County. That is 100% why I moved my ass to Rankin County. Chris says it was a train wreck when Mayor Frank Melton made Sheriff McMillan the chief. It was. I had a nightclub downtown at the time. And I'd forgot that whole debacle lasted almost 2 years. But I will say that being a business owner downtown and having grown up in Byram, South Jackson, out that area where there was a lot of influence on my life by the Hinds County Sheriff's Department and Sheriff McMillan, and I had a lot of respect for McMillan as a younger man. As I've gotten older and I found out a lot of things about McMillan, I don't have that level of respect that I once had, at least not as a human. But as a sheriff, especially for a long time, he did a really good job. I mean, you lived in fear. You knew not to fa-fo when those brown shirts showed up. Those brown uniforms, those OG brown uniforms showed up. You knew not to fa-fo. The way black folks claim that they get treated when they cross that river, that's how everybody knew not to act up in Byram, in Hinds County. If those gray cars pulled up with the blue lights on top, son, you knew better. I'm still friends today with a lot of those guys that treated me like a knucklehead. If it wasn't for, I'm telling y'all, man, this is why I'm such a fan of letting law enforcement kind of live in the gray area. Let them cut those body cams off. Because you got to deal with a knucklehead differently. I ran with a crew of knuckleheads. I was like a junior knucklehead trying to show out for the big knuckleheads. And man, it wasn't going to, officer friendly wasn't going to work. A violence interruption officer wasn't going to work. A credible messenger wasn't going to get through to us. That credible messenger would have got his ass whooped on a Friday night in any parking lot in central Mississippi. It took a Brian McCurley pulling Clay Edwards over, snatching him out, putting his knee on the back of my neck and breaking my hair and bone, or his foot, not knee, on the back of my neck, about killing me on the side of the road with a gun to my head. It took that kind of law enforcement for me to straighten up. A John Cooley, shout out Cooley, to throw my butt in jail for 4 or 5 days for fighting in a bar. You know, it took law enforcement actually giving a damn. Not that walking down the street twirling a baton, officer friendly nonsense, or as they like to call it, community policing. Anyway, not to go down that rabbit hole, but I don't know how. I know where we were at. I'm sorry. I get nostalgia gets me. I get to thinking back. Oh man, the good old days. I don't know if there's anything good about them, but the good old days, nostalgia, boy, it's a hell of a drug. Hell of a drug. But we had the nightclub downtown. And Jackson was off the rails then. I'm trying to remember who did McMillan replace? We were excited about it because the homeless stuff was bad. We thought it was bad compared to what it is now. But the crime was getting bad, and we were like all excited that McMillan, because you knew that, hey man, he ruled with an iron fist. Did he replace that guy they brought in, or that woman they brought in from California or something? Me and Sean were talking about this yesterday. I meant to ask Kingfish. I couldn't remember. But I was trying to remember how did McMillan end up as the chief of police too? Who did he replace? Because Harvey Johnson had brought somebody in, and maybe Frank inherited him. I can't remember the chain of events that led to McMillan becoming czar. I believe that all happened too while Frank was no, because McMillan was chief and sheriff, and he had to go arrest Frank, if my memory serves me correct. Anyway, quite a debacle there towards the end. But if anybody knows who McMillan replaced as chief or remembers those circumstances, let me know. Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. Mazda Jackson phone line 601-879-0002. Y'all get out to Guns and Gear today. Highway 51 North, Gluckstadt, Mississippi. Swing by, tell them I said, hey, check out the guns, check out the ammo, check out the gear. Don't forget they're your home for Cerakoting, gunsmithing, And of course, they buy guns too. Have you inherited an estate with a bunch of guns? Don't know what to do with them? Maybe a parent died. You don't hunt. You don't do any of that stuff. They get your dad, grandpa, whatever had a bunch of guns. You just don't have a need for them. Take them out to Hunter. Let him appraise them for you, or just reach out to him. Maybe he can do it by internet. I don't know. Anyway, get in touch with him. Let him tell you how to do it. Gunsingear.co is the website. Gunsin, the letter N, gear.co. That's Guns and Gear. Let's take a break. We'll be right back here on the Clay Edwards Show. 103.9 FM, WYAB.
And Women's Wellness of Mississippi Studio.
Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here live on the WYAB, Central Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, live in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi Studios. Guys, coming up this Saturday, Sunday, and Monday at Cypress Point Resort, Cameron's Garage, the Tavern, the Steakhouse, all that. It's their huge all play, no work Labor Day weekend concert extravaganza. They got a huge, big old festival stage set up out in the parking lot. Gonna have a lot of great bands starting Saturday around 2:00 and going all the way to close of business Sunday. 8 bands plus inside entertainment in the tavern, acoustic stuff. Gonna have free safari rides with the purchase of a meal. They got a cruise in and car show Sunday at 2. Man, it is going to be a heck of a time out there. I cut some new commercials for it yesterday. Be listening for those. You got some great bands, Acoustic Crossroads, plus the All-Star Jam Band. You got Burnham Road, Steel Hollow. I can't remember them all off the top of my head. You got 8 of them. I'll pull the flyer up, tell y'all here in a little bit. But, man, just make plans. Labor Day weekend. It's their first annual Labor Day weekend extravaganza blowout extravaganza there at Cameron's Garage and Cypress Point Resort. Don't forget, they got those cabins back there in the back. I don't know if they're booked up this weekend or not. Reach out to them, but you can stay out there for less than $100 a night or right at $100 a night. Have you a little staycation this Labor Day weekend out there at Cypress Point Resort, formerly McLean's Lodge. Take the kids. Going to be face painting, all kind of family-friendly stuff. So don't hesitate to bring the kids. Have a good time. And don't drink and drive. Cypress Point Resort. All right, man. Hot show this morning, man. The comments are a buzz over on social media. The Guns and Gear text line blowing up. That number 769-241-1944. The Mazda Jackson phone line is 601-879-0002. Mike texts in on the Guns and Gear text line. It says, Mike says, all of his texts start with Mike says, that Wendell Watts loves himself too much to turn down the chief job. So I don't necessarily like talking about rumors and innuendo, but I don't mind rumors and innuendo. Rumor says that possibly, and I don't know, I don't see this, but whatever, is that Wendell Watts could be heading to replace Bo Luckey at Capitol Police, and Bo Luckey could be going to work for Tate Reeves, but Bo Luckey already works for Tate Reeves. He was named Capitol Police Chief. But anyway, so possibility that Wendell Watts is on his way out the door with Chief Wade heading over to Capitol Police. But again, that's just rumors and innuendo. So I don't know if that's true or not. I would think the Capitol Police would promote from within if they were going to do it. They got a guy over there that I like a lot, Sim Shanks, off the top of my head. But I would be surprised if he wasn't the next guy up for that job. He's been up for other jobs as the head man around the area. I don't know why he wouldn't be overly qualified for that one. But hey, I don't pull the trigger here, so I don't know. All right, we had some people cleared up some stuff for me. I wasn't sure who McMillan replaced. It was the female, Shirlene Anderson, who had served from July 2005 to November of 2007, was reassigned to another role within the administration. That, according to Grok, says Eric, watching the show over on X. And thank you to everybody who sent that name over too. Yeah, so I was right. It was the female. It was the woman that he replaced. Was she from out of? She wasn't from here, was she? I feel like she was from somewhere else. Was she from like New York or California or something? And Harvey Johnson thought it would be a good idea to bring her in. I'm always a fan of promoting from within, as long as there's not a toxic culture that you need to rid the place of. If there's a toxic culture, you don't need to promote from within. If there's a good culture, you promote from within because you want to keep that culture rolling on down the tracks. It's why you see a lot of college football teams that are successful promote from within. Like when Brian Kelly left Notre Dame and went to LSU, they promoted the defensive coordinator, and he had one down year, and he got that thing rolling down the tracks. I like that guy a lot, and I probably wouldn't have made that hire. You're Notre Dame. You don't promote a coordinator. You get the biggest name available. You're Notre Dame. But if they promote it from within, and man, that's why their president and athletic director make the big bucks, because they made what probably wasn't the most popular call at the time, and it's paid big dividends for them. Big dividends. So let's see here. Chris Hinkle is helping me out a good bit on this. Charlene Anderson came from MBN, and it was Frank Melton that hired. Okay, cool. I couldn't remember, man. I could not remember that. So thank y'all. Thank you, Roy, for texting that in. Chris Hinkle says, imagine if Wes Shivers was chief in Jackson. Look, I'm a Wes Shivers guy. I like Wes. Wes was family by marriage for a little while. He was married to my former brother-in-law's sister. So that's how I kind of know Wes in a prior life. But I'm a Wes Shivers guy. Always have been. Always had a lot of respect for Wes. Wes is the kind of guy you don't want to fa-fo with. I got a funny Dean Scott story I want to tell real quick. I hope I'm not going to get in trouble for this. Maybe I've told this before on the air. I don't know. They're towards Dean's end as chief of Pearl. He had some health problems. I don't guess that's a secret now. We won't go into all the details of that, but Dean had seen a guy driving really erratic, just really erratic. So he gets up on I-20 and pulls him over. And I guess, when I don't know what procedure is, but I assume procedure when a cop pulls somebody over, they radio in, let base know, hey, I'm on a traffic stop. And then they got to check back in within a certain time, or they get an officer down type warning, Dean pulls this guy over, and man, they get to fighting on the side of the road. So I don't know if Dean's able to radio it in or what the case is, but they send backup when they don't hear back from Dean or whatever. Well, the first man on the scene, my understanding, is Wes Shivers. And, I'm an old South Jackson guy. I don't have to tell you all that. You FAFO, you are the FAFO grand effing champion of all time. There's not really going to be another one that matches your level of FAFO championship. When you're on the side of the road and you done picked a fight with Dean Scott and Wes Shivers. Suffice to say, it didn't end well for the guy. He was strung out on meth or something or another. He had some superhuman crackhead strength. But, man, talk about the shortest straw. He drew it that day. They're fighting with Dean Scott, and then Wes Shivers is the first guy to show up. Woo, son. Let him cook, man. Let him cook. Had a bad day at the office is what that is. All right, let's take a break, come back. I want to stay on this topic for a little bit longer and kind of tell y'all why I tend to believe that the chief resigned, retired, whatever you want to call it, in such a hurry. I've been told some rumors and allegations, and I think it makes sense. And I'm going to lay that out for y'all when we come back. This is the Clay Edwards Show. Don't go nowhere. Hey, if you're watching online, hit that share button for your boy. Hit the like button. Drop a comment. We're going to come back. We're going to read your comments too, I promise. We'll be right back.
WYAB.
is the Clay Edwards.
Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. This segment brought to you by our friends over at Burgers Blues Barbecue. Check them out today for all their blue plate specials at all 3 locations. Flowwood, right there in Dogwood, in front of Dick's Sporting Goods, Madison on Main Street, and downtown Brandon, right there. Well, in downtown Brandon, right in front of the statue. The statue, I tell you. Did you know the Madison location serves breakfast? We used to promote the breakfast a pretty good bit here, and I kind of got away from it because I thought they quit doing it at all the locations, but they still do breakfast at the Madison location. I learned that the other day when I had Steven and then Taylor in here from Burgers Blues Barbecue. And look, this Friday night is the official, the real deal kickoff of high school football season. But Clay, it started last weekend. Yeah, I know, but Brandon didn't have a home game last weekend. Brandon got a home game this weekend, right? Yes, it's the 1 versus 2. Brandon. Is it Tupelo? Brandon and Tupelo in Brandon. So it's the official kickoff of high school football season. Did you know that Burgers Blues Barbecue and it's college football kickoff weekend, all that stuff? They have their tailgate platters. That's right. Go to burgersblues.com. It should pop up, but if not, I think there's a link that says tailgate platters or catering or something like that. Click on it. It'll pop up. Get some catering. Get a platter of barbecue, sliders, chicken strips, queso dip, all these great things from Burgers Blues Barbecue to take to the tailgate. Because Brandon, nobody tailgates like Brandon tailgates. I've seen the pictures. I've been there. I'm going to give Brandon the crown for the best high school tailgating in the area. Yeah, I'm partial. I'm biased. But wherever you're tailgating at this weekend, whether it's the Grove, well, they're not. Does Ole Miss have a home game this weekend? I am so unplugged. I don't know how I'm going to do a sports show this year. I know the state's kicking off in Hattiesburg. That'll be the game of the week. I'm a state guy, but just I'm so beat up. My money's on Southern. I have $50 on Southern. I'm gonna go by the Ameristar and place a bet. Anyhow, reach out to Burgers Blues Barbecue. Get in touch with them, burgersblues.com. Check out their tailgating menu options. And of course, they handle all your caterings options, anywhere from 5 to 5,000 people. They got food trucks for your special events. Of course, there's going to be a minimum required to get the food truck to come out. They ain't just going to come out because you said a lot of people are going to be there. Just FYI. And of course, just swing by and enjoy the games there at any of their bars or just sit in the restaurant. They got TVs all throughout all of them. Enjoy the games, enjoy a cold drink, enjoy some food. My personal favorite is the Nashville hot wings there, the smoked Nashville hot wings. That's my go-to, but everything's great. All right, man, let's get back at it. Now, some people are texting in on the Guns and Gear text line, and they're like, Clay, but man, what about Wes? What about when that guy hit Wes up at Flag Island? Hey, look, man, y'all go try hitting Wes and tell me how it plays out for you. Now, I watched that video. That guy got the best my memory tells me, because I'm pretty sure this is what I saw happen. Wes is knee deep in water. Looks like he probably had a few. And that other dude got a running start and wasn't jacks him in the jaw while he barely looking, if looking at all. I don't know the guy. He got one on Wes. But I put my money on Wes on equal footing, all things being equal, 10 out of 10 times. Now, I don't know the guy. I remember that he had one of those hats with the brim all the way around, one of those kind of shade hats, beach hats. I say he got a lick on him. It is what it is, but I'll put my money on Wes 10 out of 10 times. So I know everybody with their trigger fingers is always everybody's got a lot to say. But it happens, man, when you're a big boy like that and you know him for fighting and somebody gets the best of you, people are gonna run their mouths. It is what it is. But I've seen enough of Wes to say that I'll put my money on Wes 10 out of 10 times in that situation again. But hey, that's just me. Again, I'm biased. I like Wes. So I support my people. You should support your people. You want your people to support you. So back to the Chief Wade. And then we're going to come back and we're going to read some comments and stuff. Here's why I think that the allegations about whether it's inappropriate text messages, 2 women fighting over him, something or another, something with women is true. Is because, man, so he takes this job at Methodist as the head of security. And you mean to tell me that these guys are out headhunting at Methodist? They picked the chief of police in Jackson to be their guy, and they couldn't do it with enough head start, enough notice. He had to start now, like resign, retire immediately. Like, I mean, you know, all this just happened in the last couple of days. There's no way everybody kept their mouths shut about this. For that, you know, this I bet you this unfolded probably Thursday or Friday of last week, and they, in a hurry, landed on Tyree to be the sheriff. And it probably the conversation between John Horn and Chief Wade probably went something like this: "Hey, look, this is John Horn speaking. Hey, look, I don't need any controversy the first 100 days into this thing. I don't need to come across like I'm firing the chief. We need you to resign. Now, you got another job you can find?" Yeah. The people at Methodist been wanting me to come over there and run the place. All right, well, you should probably do that. And what we're going to do is you're going to retire. And we're just going to make all this go away. And we're going to promote, you know, if it was subordinates, we're just going to promote them. They'll figure that out. But I think that's probably what happened there. Is this job is probably lingering out there. He knew it was available if he wanted it. He called them up and said, "Hey, guess what? I'm going to be available immediately. Monday, I'll be available." And I think that's probably what happened. They just decided, hey, you're going to retire and we're not going to have to fire you. And you're going to say you're stressed out. You need something with less stress, whatever the case may be. Because there's no way I believe that this dude just woke up and quit on a dime. Then, of course, there's the whole thing of why isn't the assistant chief? Why wasn't he named interim chief? Why do you bring in an outside guy, even though Tyree is a JPD guy, but he's a sheriff. He's a sheriff now. I mean, there's a rivalry there between JPD and Hinds County. Make no mistake. It's no different in Brandon or Pearl or wherever with Rankin County. I mean, there's always little inner county rivalries. That don't mean it's a bad thing. I see a Florida police cruiser riding by the 49 right now. I imagine there's a rivalry with them. A friendly rivalry, and the sheriff's department. Like, they don't want, I'm guessing they wouldn't want Randy Tucker coming in and being their sheriff here. I mean, their chief here. And maybe they would. I don't know. I like Taco, you know, but I'm just saying, if you got a guy with the credentials of Wendell Watts, who was just police chief in Gluckstadt, there's only two reasons why Wendell Watts don't take that job, in Clay Edwards' opinion. And I don't know Wendell. I've never met him. I've seen him before at Martin's eating lunch, but I don't know him. He didn't want it. Or because he's white. Those are the only two reasons Wendell Watts ain't the guy. Because the resume, he's the man. If you're looking at the resume. All right, let's look at some comments here. Corinthian Sanders says, watching on Facebook, after he just said the shackles are off now. That's Corinthian. That's the first thing I thought about too. Not necessarily him talking about that, but well, I want to know what those shackles were. Now that you ain't the chief, tell me what those shackles were, because I think he opened up the city to a huge liability lawsuits, admitting that the previous mayor told him not to fight crime. How many lives were lost in Jackson because JPD was told not to fight crime? Because if you tell me you got shackles on, you're saying don't fight crime. Yeah, great comment, my friend. Jonathan Barnett, watching on YouTube, says facts. I believe that, Clay. You know I'm gonna read any affirmation text, right? Anytime y'all are telling me I'm right or you agree with me, those move to the front of the line. Corinthian again. I'm reading these backwards, by the way. It says, right, total cop-out narrative. Yep. Robert, watching on Facebook, says, Robert Lavorne, he knows Trump is coming. Skillet's getting hot. I 100% believe that Trump should come to Jackson, Mississippi. The military should be here marching through the streets of the bottom, through the subs, 1 and 2, the Queens. 100%. South Jackson. I want to see tanks rolling down McDowell Road. I want to see Hummers, not H1s. No, H1s. I want to see H1s rolling down McDowell Road with camouflage, military, M16s. I want our law enforcement to have the same guns that the hood rats got. I'm all for it. Greg Piggott. Greg, I know I say your last name wrong every time. I'm sorry. I love you. Watching on YouTube says, I don't have any inside info, but I have known Joseph Wade for 13 years. He's definitely cared about doing a good job. Look, I have a lot of respect for Joe Wade, but we call balls and strikes here. People tell me I'm a bootlicker. Hey, you're a bootlicker. Look, I'm calling it out here. I ain't bootlicking today. Let's see here. Greg also says, no amount of drugs or alcohol would make me fight Wes Shivers. Touche, my friend. Touche. I ain't fighting anybody. The only way I'm fighting is if I feel threatened. Clay Edwards is not starting a fight. I mean, I talk a lot of noise, but I'm not walking up and starting a fight with some random person at a bar or nothing like that. That ain't happening. But if it's hit or get hit, I'm going down swinging. Josh Knapp, watching on Facebook, says, hey, my brother. Good morning. Jacktown is a lost cause. Large portions of it are. Nate Russian, just talking about Frank. Frank brought Charlene Anderson in with him as JPD, first female police chief. So that was 06, 07. Yeah, I was still doing a lot of drugs then. So my memory's a little blurry. I wasn't sleeping a lot in 06, 07. That was at the peak of my nightclub empire success. I was not the most morally sound person in 06, 07. I want to apologize to anybody that knew Clay Edwards from 2002, 2001, August of 2001 to August of 2010. That's when I got out of the nightclub business, like long term. I got back in it for 6 months in 2014. And I want to apologize to anybody that knew me then too. Because I was not the best person. So whenever people get on here and say, Clay's pretending to be something he's not. No, I was pretending to be something I wasn't then. And now you got the real Clay. I was pretending to be a bad person, a morally lost individual. I found my morals and my moral compass got straightened up, and everything my parents taught me and raised me to believe and do finally kicked in as I got a little older. I was a late learner, late bloomer. I want to talk about that a little bit. I want to talk about how doing drugs stunts your growth, and I want to make some examples. I'm going to use me as the example at the top of the next hour. I think y'all might enjoy this. We're going to talk about Cracker Barrel too. I have not had a chance to talk about Cracker Barrel. We'll be right back. Boom, shakalaka boom. It's hour 2 of the most incendiary show on the RADIO. This is the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in here on 103.9 FM, WYAB, streaming worldwide at WYAB.com, as well as the TuneIn app and Alexa. Just search WYAB. If you missed any of the show, we do, should I say, podcast it. No commercials in there. We cut them all out, trim the fat a little bit on it, make it a little easier to digest. It's on the podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, all of them. If there's a podcast platform you use, just search Clay Edwards Show, and it will be there usually by 10:30 every day, except Monday, 11:30 then, because it's a 3-hour show. So usually by 10, but anyway, about 10:30. We'll just say it, be safe. Also, we're going to start something new today. We're going to delete the live streams off the social media platforms when we're done, and we're going to re-upload them with the commercials out to make it an easier to digest option for the video viewer as well. Basically, over a 2-hour show that cuts about 40 minutes of ads out, 40 minutes of commercials, something like not 40 minutes. That's not right. Anyway, it's a big chunk. It's 16 minutes an hour, so 32 minutes. We're gonna cut 32 minutes of ads out. I think that's right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. A lot of time we're gonna save, I tell you. So be watching out for that, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble is where I'm going to do that at. Anyway, this is the Clay Edwards Show. We're live at the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi Studios. Always looking for new ways to engage the audience, grow the audience, and more here. Not willing, we're always willing to try new things. So just throwing that out there real quick. Ellis Autoplex, swing by, see Casey and the team today. Shop them online, ellisautoplex.com. They buy cars. Swing by. Let them put a number on your car. They're going to make you a fair market value offer on it. They ain't trying to steal your trade. They people can't do that no more. If you go to a car lot and they try to, quote unquote, steal your trade and you've done your homework and you know what it's worth, that ain't a place you want to do any kind of business. That's why I always recommend, even if you're dead set on trading your vehicle in, go by, see Casey, let him give you a number. He probably hates me putting this extra work on him. But even if you're planning on going to one of the big new car dealerships, go by there, let Casey put you a good, honest number on it so you can go shopping with it. And I'm going to tell you what, most times you're going to realize that number he gave you is better than what they're going to offer you. And if nothing else, you'll know that you've gotten it from more than one source. And all it takes is a little bit of your time. And I bet you more times you're going to end up going back and selling that car to Casey. Hell, you may end up just buying one from him because they do good business. That's Ellis Autoplex, Highway 471, not Brandon. I want to call that Brandon so bad. It's the way it carves out. They're technically in Flowood, Mississippi, man. Right down there across from my buddy Chad Horton's place, the back porch. Go by, see him today, Ellis Autoplex. They open to 3 p.m. on Saturdays, by the way. All right, let's jump back in. I want to tell a quick anecdote story time with Uncle Clay. We do a lot of story times right here, don't we? I mentioned something about drugs. I mentioned something about Big Clay from the 2000 and just my nightclub era Clay. And I've told this story before. At least I know I've told it privately to people. It's something I've noticed a lot about people who no longer do drugs. They're kind of stuck in suspended animation of sorts. Because I think you quit growing mentally the day you started doing drugs. I mean, hard drugs. I don't mean like necessarily smoking weed, that too, whatever, but mainly like powder drugs, hard drugs. And I was like 24, 25, 26, somewhere in there when I started doing it. So whatever I was doing at that time in life, the way I was acting, the way I was dressing, the kind of music I was listening to, the things I was into, all that, I hit pause. And I've noticed it. A lot of people do it. You can always tell when somebody's in their 40s and they still dress like they're 20, they're probably a recovering addict or still an addict, one or the other. Because you just hit pause on your life mentally and you don't grow any. And it's so weird. So whether they're in the throes of addiction for 6 months, 6 years, 10 years, whatever, when they come out of that haze and they get sober, they pick their life back up where they hit pause. I've seen it happen to people with grown kids. And when I say grown, I mean, maybe they started doing drugs when the kids was 8, 9, 10 years old. And now that kid is 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. And they want to do stuff with that kid that they missed. Like, let's go to the movies. Let's go do, whatever. Let's go play putt-putt. Let's go do all these things you should have done when the kid was 10, 12 years old. They want to go try to catch up and make those memories with them now that they're 18, 19, 20 years old. You see it a lot with the way folks dress. Man, I held on to my flat bill caps and white t-shirts and Air Jordans and mainly my Air Force Ones, my white Air Force Ones, for far, far too long. Now, I still like to wear fly shoes. Don't get me wrong. And I was talking to Miss Angela with Mike Magazine about this yesterday, so I kind of stuck on it a little bit. It's been really bouncing around in my head a lot. But that's something I've noticed is you just get stuck in this suspended animation for however long you did drugs. And then when you kind of come out of it, you don't really, it's hard. We'll say I've done it. I believe I have anyway. I've grown a lot over the last few years, but I mean, I'm 20 years removed from doing drugs. Dang, it's wild. 20 years almost. Well, not quite 20 years, 15 years. 2011, 2025, 14 years removed from doing drugs. I did dabble back off into a few when I was back in the bar business in 2014 for a couple months, but I don't count that. I selectively don't count that, but still at minimum 10 years, 11 years. But man, it takes so long to get to play catch up mentally and then try to get caught up to all your contemporaries where they're at. Because like you were stuck for however long in suspended animation. I mean, have any of y'all dealt with that? Do y'all know what I'm talking about here? Does this make sense at all? Let's read your comments here. The Guns and Gear text line 769-241-1944. Let's see here. No fresh comments about this particular topic. So we'll shift gears. I wanted to just get that off my chest a little bit. It's like in Jackson, we're gonna talk about race for a second here. You see, like black guys for some reason, a lot of them don't grow up. It's like they're stuck in this suspended animation. I see it with them a lot. You know, in their 40s, still dressing like they're in their 20s, pants sagging, flat bill hats, trying to look like a hip hop star. And I'm like, dude, I was like, is there just a point where you retire that and you start dressing like an adult, whatever that is? I'm not saying you can't have some style, but if you're dressing just like your 18-year-old contemporaries, well, they're not your contemporaries. If you're dressing like an 18-year-old as your contemporary, you haven't grown up. Like, it's time to grow up and just let it go. I mean, are you still in the clubs every weekend? And I don't mean hanging out at a bar having a drink or two. I mean, like, you still in the clubs, hitting on young girls and stuff? Come on, man. Come on, Unc. It's time to retire to the lounge. Get about the club. Leave that for the kids. Let them young men. That's a young man's game. That's another problem, man. Too many old dudes are in there chasing young women. And it's made it really, really hard for young dudes to get any tail. But the facts all back this up. There's a whole generation of young men that have never had sex. I know we're supposed to be on this show talking about get married, don't have sex. Man, look, I ain't about that life. You guys got to grow up. And don't think I'm saying this to black dudes and I ain't talking about white dudes too. There just ain't as many of them around here. The white guy that thinks they're rappers. I mean, I know some black rappers that don't dress like that. My buddy Topher, black dude, rapper, dresses like an adult. Like a full-fledged adult, like a 40-year-old man. You know, but he's a rapper. I don't know why rappers think they have to all look a certain, they all got to look like mid-2000s Cash Money Records. 2001 Cash Money Records. Now go watch the Back That Ass Up video from 99. Taking over the 99 and the 2000. That's the only reason I know what year that came out. It's called Taking Over the 99 and the 2000. I've only heard that 10 million times over the years. Man, if you're ever at a nightclub and you hear taking over Cash Money Records, taking over for the 99 and the 2000, blares through the speakers, make sure you are not in the way of the dance floor because you're about to get ran over by a bulls on parade as women storm the dance floor. Women and gay men storming the dance floor to back that thing up. But anyway, go back and watch that video and the way those guys are all dressed. White white wife beaters, big oversized white tees, sagging blue jeans, Jordans, and then go pull up any random current rap video. Just hit mute because it sucks now. Just, you don't have to listen to it, but just hit mute. And they're dressed the exact same way. The exact same way. 25 years later, 26 years later, it ain't changed a lick. Hell, go pull up those very same guys that are still alive, Juvenile, Lil Wayne, all of them, still dressed same way. Like it's 1999. And man, when I see white dudes dressed like that, I want to run over them. I can't stand a white thug. I mean, cannot stand these Bozo the Clown looking white gangsters. Oh man, nothing gets under my skin more than these white dudes. I know y'all gonna get mad when I say it, but whatever. White dudes that act black. White dudes that act ghetto. I mean, I was that guy for a little while, and I hated that version of me. I think that's why I rail against it so hard now. Because I just know how fake it is. Come on, man. Act right. Act right. Let's take a break. We're going to get some get right in our system this morning. Act right. If you just, I know we got a lot of people that are in recovery that listen to this show because, you know, we give back to the recovery community. I'm all for the recovery community. Man, you know, I know a lot of y'all, and y'all still dressing like you went shopping at Oxford Street in the Metro Center. Main Street fashions. Leather for the weather. Wearing your big baggy jeans and your... Stop. Nobody wants to see your underwear. Nobody wants to see you in a white wife beater. Those are undershirts. Those ain't supposed to be on top. That ain't supposed to be all you wearing. I know it's hot, but you know what? That's life in the big city. Good morning, Barbershop Bob. This is the Clay Edwards Show. They need some testosterone is what they need. Text my name, Clay. I'm going to hook you up with a free testosterone screening. 601-800-5130. Text Clay to Men's Health Mississippi. Get that testosterone screening. That'll have you dressing right, acting right. We'll be right back. They served over 180. They served almost 190 plate lunches yesterday. Y'all don't know how big that is. Or they 190 tickets at lunch yesterday. And they did a catering for Amazon and the governor yesterday. Great job to the back of house staff and the front of house staff there at McBee's. Really, really good folks. The Blue Plate Special. What day of the week is it? Is today Monday too? What is it? Wednesday? I don't even know. It's Wednesday. Today is fried or grilled pork chop at McBee's. The fried pork chop there is phenomenal. I have not had the grilled. The crust. Y'all know I'm big on that. I love my fried food. The crust actually stays on the pork chop when you cut it into bites and put it in your mouth. So many places do a fried pork chop and the crust stays on the plate every time you cut it because it's hard to get crust to stay to pork for whatever reason. Maybe because it's juicy. I don't know. Anyway, they got it figured out there at McBee's. Swing by, grab lunch today, and make plans to watch all your college football games there this weekend. Number 1 Texas versus number 2 Ohio State, or maybe it's the other way around. 1 versus 2, Texas, Ohio State. It's at Ohio State. Arch Manning. The tradition continues. Who will win? Go watch it on the new 100-inch TV on the patio there at McBee's. Enjoy this early fall like weather we're having. Man, I had to walk outside last night about 10 o'clock. For some reason, I left something in the truck. I was putting something in the truck. I don't remember. Man, I wanted to pull up a chair and just sit outside and drink a cold beer. Unfortunately, I didn't have any cold beers because I'm alcohol fasting for 30 days. And I just went back inside and didn't get to enjoy the nice weather. But man, oh man, get over there to McBee's. Go eat on the patio today. I mean, don't feel bad out there outside right now. It's like the humidity went away. Swing by, check them out. Lake Harbor Drive, Ridgeland, Mississippi, buzzing the res since 1982. I've said it before, I'll say it again. They're Generation X's last local dive bar that we created. The legacy, the history at McBee's. Go enjoy it, man. All right. Let's talk about Cracker Barrel. The Crackers have won again. Them dastardly crackers. Let me pull my little caption back up on the screen here. If y'all been watching online, you know, I put my name on the screen and my title is Head Cracker in Charge. I put it plural. I'm Head Crackers in Charge. Y'all make everything plural. You always put an S on the end of Kroger. It's Kroger. It's not Kroger's. But if we're going to play that game, we're going to play by y'all's rules, I'm Head Crackers in Charge. How have I missed that for a month now? Anyway, we're just going to leave it like it is. Speaking of typos, real quick, if y'all follow my personal Facebook page, I posted a picture of my food last night. 2 chicken thighs and some green beans, but I've typed the word thug into my phone so many times now that the keyboard was convinced I was not eating chicken thighs. I was eating chicken thugs. Dark meat, of course. And woo! And I just left it. I was like, you know what? It is chicken thugs. That's exactly what it is. But it got me to, but I noticed something else. So that was funny. And because I typed the word thug so much. You know what word I never type? Branson. You know where I've never been? Branson, Missouri. Do you know where my phone insists that I live every time I try to type the word Brandon? Branson. My phone, can you make autocorrect forget a word? Because I never foresee needing to intentionally type Branson for any reason. I have no intention on ever going to Branson. I have no intentions on covering a story from Branson. I live in Brandon, not Branson. I ain't that old. I ain't that white. I'm white, but I ain't Branson, Missouri white. Anyway, my chicken thugs. Y'all all caught it before I did, unfortunately, too. So I just left it. I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm not correcting it. Chicken thugs. So speaking of food and crackers and thugs and whatnot, Cracker Barrel. Now, I haven't covered the Cracker Barrel story. I'm just going to tell y'all all been hollering about, oh, this is woke. Cracker Barrel's going woke. They're taking the cracker off the sign. It's a rebrand. I still don't understand why it's woke. Like, what is woke about Cracker Barrel changing their logo? It's ugly. I think it's a terrible idea from a branding standpoint. When you're a brand and you have an iconic logo, you don't change it. Like the Cowboys changing the star to the Star of David. You don't change it. You have a Coca-Cola. You can have alternate versions of your logo, but you have a main logo. Like the Clay Edwards Show. The round logo. I've got an alternate version of the round logo. Here it is right here. It's the antenna, but it's still that edgy font. We have the G.I. Joe version of the logo. Kind of like the FAFO. There on my folder. You know, we have the G.I. Joe, we have a Clay Edwards Show version of that. But the OG Clay Edwards Show logo is the round sticker. I don't have one around me, but it's the round logo. That is the Clay Edwards Show logo. Even if I use different versions of it, like that's the main logo. Cracker Barrel made a terrible business decision by trying to change their logo. Now, I don't understand what is woke about it, but I will say this, and this isn't an original thought. And yes, I know, before y'all kill me in the comments, I know that we won. The outrage mob won. Cracker Barrel is not going to change the logo. But what it is, now the logo doesn't bother me. It's the remodel of the interiors that I had the problem with, because what it feels like is they're erasing Americana. So I guess I'm answering my own question. So I get maybe that is a little woke. I don't know. But like you go in Cracker Barrel, people don't eat at Cracker Barrel for the food. They eat at Cracker Barrel because that nasty food is consistent. They have relatively decent service. You know what? Cracker Barrel, Brad's wife and Brad, they tried to warn us about this about 10 years ago. I don't know. Do y'all remember the whole controversy about Brad's wife getting fired? Brad tried to warn us about this when they fired his wife. But anyway, he told us that they were up to no good over there at Cracker Barrel. But it is a bit of an erasure of Americana, because Cracker Barrel, the whole vibe is Americana, American history, a different time, a different place. It's like that old general store vibe. You know, it's like that we all, like I could just vision like the museum cafe over at the Ag Museum is like a real life Cracker Barrel. The general store there at the Ag Museum is like a real life Cracker Barrel. If Andy Gibson's listening this morning, Andy, I got a great idea for you. You could have a real Cracker Barrel there at the Ag Museum. Hang some more decorations up in that cafe. Does George's Catering? Do those folks? Does the George family still run that over there? Good folks, man. Known them my whole life. My first job ever was at George's Catering over in South Jackson. My family's always been close to them. I got married at Reservoir Point. They own that. Well, that was a bad memory, but either way, good folks. But with all that said, it is an attack on Americana, and they're trying to whitewash, literally white sheetrock over Americana. We're modernizing it for a modern audience. Cracker Barrel don't have a modern audience. Cracker Barrel's audience is old. People don't go to Cracker Barrel because the food ain't good. That's why the modern audience doesn't go to Cracker Barrel. Look, I used to think Cracker Barrel had good country fried steak. But I went a long time without going there. And then I went there with my family or somebody one Sunday or for something or another. Me and my dad went and ate lunch there. I don't remember what drugged me to Cracker Barrel, but I ended up there. And I got the country fried steak. And it was terrible. It was frozen country fried steak with canned gravy on it. I'm like, ugh, get this out of here. Yeah, going out here. The only thing Cracker Barrel has that Clay Edwards likes is their hash brown casserole or whatever, the hash browns, a scoop of hash browns. That's pretty good. Martin's is way better. So I don't know. I mean, I just don't make a fuss about this kind of stuff. I just like, man, that is a whole lot of nothing over nothing. I mean, if a restaurant changes their logo and you like their food and you quit going because they changed their logo, you're an idiot. I don't know any other way to say it. You're an idiot. I love the Martin's logo, but if they changed it, I'm not going to quit eating at Martin's. McBee's put a picture up last night. I didn't even get it this morning when I first saw it, but I get it now. It was a shot at Cracker Barrel. It said this sign and this logo ain't going nowhere. But I wasn't all the way awake yet, but I get it now. McBee's logo. I mean, I like it, but if they changed it, as long as that chicken spaghetti is still hitting, as long as that club sandwich is still hitting, as long as that red beans and rice still hitting, I'm still eating. You just y'all could all take the signs out, replace them with white signs and block black letters and make it as boring as possible, like Acme. Sorry, Chip. Different Acme, like the generic Acme from all the cartoons. Acme just means generic, so they don't have to, actually name any businesses and cartoons and movies and stuff. Just like every phone number in movies 555. That's what they call businesses in all those cartoons back in the day, Acme. But anyway, I don't give a damn about any of that stuff. If the food's good, I'm still going to eat there. Unless they come out and say, you filthy Trump supporters, you Republicans, you white people. Unless they specifically say something along those lines, I'm going to still eat there. But I ain't eating a Cracker Barrel. I'm not Cracker Barrel demographic. I'm not Cracker Barrel anything. I don't like the food. I think it's trash. I mean, I like the atmosphere. I dig the waitresses and the kind of their down home. I dig all that. I just don't like the food, so I'm not going. Everything else can be great. If the food ain't good, I ain't going. But I'm not somebody who spends a lot of time on the road. I ain't doing a lot of traveling. Like, in my opinion, if there's a Cracker Barrel in your hometown and you're eating there over a local diner, you got a problem. There's something wrong with you. Why ain't you supporting the local mom and pop place that has a good plate lunch, good buffet, places like that that are locally owned? You going to Cracker Barrel? I got a problem with that. You need to be supporting the locally owned place, not worrying about Cracker Barrel. That's why they're all along the interstates. They ain't for locals. They're for travelers. You ain't never seen a Cracker Barrel in the middle of the city. Ain't a Cracker Barrel on Highway 80. Cracker Barrel's on I-20. Jackson's one of the only cities in America that a Cracker Barrel's ever closed in, by the way. When Cracker Barrel closes, boy, you know it's too late. It's like when you see them building a Jasco gas station. It's too late. You've waited too long to move. We'll be right back. This is the Clay Edwards Show, 103.9 FM WYAB. Is sometimes you miss your cue to get back on the air. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here live on WYAB. I am the head crackers in charge of the show here. So if any complaints, please point them to clay@wyab.com. Clay@wyab.com is the complaint line around here. I'm not saying that we'll make any changes based on your complaints, but we will entertain them. But we will also read them on the air. So be nice, or I'll tell people your identity. Let's hit up some of the text and comments here. You guys have been on fire this morning, man. Thank you all so much for tuning in and allowing me to get here for 2 hours a day, be an absolute madman on the radio and online. Wild Bill says on the Guns and Gear text line, I'm not a Cracker Barrel fan either, by far, nor am I a Chick-fil-A fan for that matter. They both have trashy food. I'm with you. Eat good stuff when you're able. Such places like Mama's Kitchen, Grant's Kitchen, etc. Hey, Clay, what if Cracker Barrel's logo was changed to a trans sitting in a chair by the barrel? Well, I still wouldn't eat there. That's really how I feel about it. I still would not eat there. So, man, look, I've seen everybody taking that Cracker Barrel logo and changing it into theirs. If any of my people out there have the ability to do it, because one thing I can't do is art. I suck. I need a FAFO. I need a Cracker Barrel logo with the FAFO in the middle of it. Because I think what they did is they FAFO'd. Let's read a couple more of your text here. Now, I do like Chick-fil-A, but again, I've just quit eating. Like, if I'm going to eat fast food, I will drive through Chick-fil-A. I'm going to be honest. That is one of my weaknesses. But here's my problem with Chick-fil-A. Is if I eat it one day, I may eat it 4 or 5 days in a row. Those spicy chicken sandwiches are like crack. Now, I ain't never smoked crack, but I've been in proximity of it, and I'm just going to tell you, they're like crack. Let's see here. Unknown texter says, I just want, let's see, says, I was so serious about Clay Edwards on the Cracker Barrel sign, though. And then it says, I just want the 2 chicken breasts back the way it was. More like 2 chicken nuggets, and the big side portions are horrible. We need a Lambert's. Well, you did the whole nightclub scene, Clay. How about get into the restaurant biz? Chip can help. Clay Edwards Honky Barrel. Cracker Barrel. It's cracker with an A at the end. You know, it's like the N word with the A at the end, I guess, isn't as bad as the N word with the R at the end. We're going to change it to Cracka. Cracka barrel. Cracker Barrel. And we're going to put me on the logo. Clay Edwards Cracker Barrel, or Cracker Barrel by Clay Edwards. Cracker over a barrel. Whoa. Anyway, let's see here. What else are we saying here? Unknown texter on the Guns and Gear text line. 5987. I don't know what that means. Says, I don't know if I agree or disagree, but a friend thought this was institutional manipulation. I'm with you. Oh, never mind. Let me circle back here. This texter had a great point, and I thought about this. Guys, I don't own a penny worth of stock. I've never bought a nickel's worth of stock in the stock market or anything. But the second I saw that Cracker Barrel stock crash like it did, I was like, it's going to come back up. Buy now. Somebody buy. I mean, I thought about taking what little bit I have in savings, all $13.72, and buy Cracker Barrel stock because it was inevitable. It was going to come back up. I don't remember what it was pre or what it got down to, but it's sitting at $59.87 right now. So a texter said, with Cracker Barrel, I've got to wonder how many people or institutions made money short selling the stock or buying on the dip. Many locations haven't changed their signs anyway. I would like to see them stop any interior redecorating and focus on the food. I agree 100%. Leave the interior, change the sign, leave the interior alone. Those places have so much character and ambiance. The word ambiance is probably behind food quality the most important word when you're designing or building a restaurant. And I actually did spend to the previous texture. I spent 15 years in the restaurant business too. You know, my nightclubs always had a restaurant attached to them that we were open for lunch and everything. So I was always in the restaurant business also. Now, was I ever just top tier restaurateur? No, I'm no Jeff Good, but or I'm no, you know, I'm not the Kesslers, but you know, I spent my time, you know, running a restaurant for sure. Anyway, guys, you know, and I hate it when I name people's names because I'm sitting here thinking of 37 other restaurant owners' names I need to name so they don't get offended. Guys, just know I mean y'all too. But with that said, I am curious who it makes sense. I don't know if it was intentional. I don't know. No company intentionally tanks their stock like that. Well, they do sometimes, but I know Cracker Barrel didn't. But look at now. See, here's where it's not fair, right? Cracker Barrel's woke nut job. Now I do believe that the new CEO is woke. I just don't believe what she did was woke. I think it was stupid. But maybe it was her wokeness that created the stupidity. I don't know. Whatever. I mean, this is Bud Light levels of stupid. Anyway, the stock tanked, and you know it was going to come back up. There was no way it wasn't, because all they had to do, because see, it becomes damn near illegal for you to intentionally wreck the stock like that. Anyhow, I'm not a finance guy. Do not take financial advice from me. But man, even my GED having butt sat there and I saw that stock crack tank like it did. I said, it's gonna come back up. People need to buy low, buy now. And if it's still down today and you guys do this, check it and see where it was 2 weeks ago, because it's gonna come back up on the announcement of this sign. If it hadn't already, it's probably too late. But somebody stood a chance to make a lot of money buying some Cracker Barrel stock. Let's see here. We got a couple minutes left this morning. And fun show today. Really fun show. I hope y'all have enjoyed it. I have. Usually if I've enjoyed it, because I am my toughest critic, I'm also my biggest fan. And when I enjoy it, I usually think it's a pretty good show. Anyway, unknown texture, Guns and Gear text line. Regardless if you like it or not, I am tired of the woke trying to dismantle the American tradition. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you. I don't know that I don't think what they did was woke. I just think it was stupid. And we as the right, we have got to quit acting like the left. We have got to quit getting outraged by everything. Or calling it woke. If you want to be mad about it, be mad about it. But be mad about it because you're mad about it. Not because your favorite content creator told you to be mad about it. Not because Clay Edwards got on here and told you he was mad about it. I just saw it and I didn't care. My only sense was, wow, that's stupid. And then I did get to thinking about it a little bit. I was like, well, they are kind of erasing Americana, because say what you want about Cracker Barrel, it is sort of an American institution at this point. At least if you live in the South along the I-20 corridor, there's a lot of them. So it is a bit of an institution. So I after a couple of days of thinking about it, I could maybe agree with you somewhat. And I guess it is a victory in the culture war, but I don't know that it was woke. It wasn't like they turned it into a transgender deal. I tell you what was woke was them taking Uncle Ben off the rice and Jemima off the syrup. You know, that was black representation. I'm being dead serious here. I mean, they put black folks out of a job. Where's Aunt Jemima going to go get a job now after being on the side of a pancake thing for 100 years? Where's Uncle Ben going to go get a job at now after being Uncle Ben? I know it sounds funny, but it's true. Like a bunch of white liberals got offended after George Floyd dying, put so many black celebrities, endorsement people out of business. Man, never stops at just one death, does it? We got about 30 seconds here. Let's see. See if we got anything else. Thank you, Michael. We now have the FAFO Cracker Barrel logo. I'm going to put this on a shirt. All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back. Land the plane for the day. Online audience, stay tuned. I'm going to hang out with y'all for just a second. Radio, rip the knob off. We'll be right back. All right, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in today. Fun times. Let's read some of your comments here real quick. Oh, Larry says he misses Po folks. You know, there's only 2 Po folks left in the country. I saw an article about this the other day. A post on Facebook anyway. Do you know who owned Po folks? I think Pepsi owned Po folks. I think I'm right about that. Po folks was owned by one of the big companies. One of the big companies. Anyway, there's only 2 of them left. One of them's in Florida. It may be both of them are in Florida. Barbershop Bob. I don't know what happened to Shoney's, but to me, that was an American icon that tanked. Yeah, Bob, you know, I know what happened to the ones here. The one in Jackson turned into a ghetto hellhole. The one in Clinton was one of the nastiest restaurants I've ever been in my life. The one in Pearl closed and reopened and closed and reopened. I'm not 100%. I mean, it had just reopened and then closed immediately. I don't know if it was just funding or what happened. Maybe COVID put a butt whooping on it. I can't remember exactly. But it's a Mexican restaurant now. Salsas, I think. It's doing pretty good. The building is anyway. I don't know. Is the one in Clinton still even open? I don't go to Clinton. Nothing wrong with Clinton. I can do everything in Brandon that I can do in Clinton. Why would I go across town? Let's see here. Linda Johnson says, go Wendell. Barbershop Bob says, it's been 25 years since I went to Cracker Barrel. Man, Cracker Barrel was good hangover food when I was 25 years old. But I hated going there on like Sunday mornings because we were there still smelling like Saturday night. And everybody else in there was coming straight from church. Jonathan says, rest in peace, Cracker Barrel in Jackson. Lot McKinnis says, I would hope that Wendell wouldn't accept the position if offered. That's a career killer, and he's too good of a person. Yeah, I mean, but he went back to Jackson from Gluckstadt to be the assistant chief. I would think that maybe he had aspirations to be the chief. He was a JPD lifer, from my understanding, with the exception of his time in Gluckstadt. But, I mean, I don't know. Everybody has different career goals and whatnot. My spidey senses, and I know he would never come out and say this, but my spidey senses tell me that he was passed over because he ain't black. And that's a damn shame, because I think if you're John Horn, I think it would be a good political play to cross the racial aisle and name a white man into a top level position like police chief. That would show the white community that we get to have some representation too. We get to have somebody that looks like us in a position of power in Jackson. What about us? The white man, the forgotten man, the victim, the oppressed white man. We don't get no representation. I shouldn't have to move to Rankin County or Madison to have representation. I should be able to stay in Jackson and have some representation too. It's taxation without representation. If don't nobody look like me, hashtag white boy magic. Hashtag white excellence. Oh, is that racist if white people do that? I forgot. What are the rules? If it's only not racist if black people say that. I've forgotten. I'm so confused on the woke rules of what's racist and what's not. If you can have black girl